All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in here. And I've got Tony Brodie, Regional Operating Partner for Keller Williams, Northern California, Hawaii with me. And Tony, first and foremost, thanks so much for being here. And would you do us a favor and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and the path you've taken to get to where you are today?
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the time and all you're doing. And we'll share more about that here in a bit. So I went to Baylor University, got a degree in marketing and real estate, just like Gary Keller. So he inspired me, right? Big shoes to look up to. But I didn't really want to get into real estate. And I got in the title business right out of college. Did that for about 3 to 4 years. My father had been in the industry for years. So as a kid, I always go Sundays, go and open houses, and you're like, okay, I don't want to do this stuff. So I did title for 3 or 4 years, and then the title industry changed their laws and regulations the third year. So I couldn't teach and train, and we had all these restrictions in the state of Texas. So I decided to get my real estate license. Joined Keller Williams Plano in North Dallas area, sold for less than a year, actually. I had some success, but then I got the tap on the shoulder to be an assistant team leader at 25 years old in the number one office in the North Texas region. So I just jumped in on an early age in the leadership and did that for 3 or 4 years. And then I moved to DC, launched some Keller Williams franchises out in the Northern Virginia, DC area. And then did that for about a year and a half. Then Gary Keller called me, and Mary Tennant says, hey, why don't you move back to Texas? And you want to be a team leader in one of the first offices I ever opened. And it's kind of a turnaround, big office, no pressure. I mean, Gary and Mary are executives of the company, founder and the president at the time. But my aha there was Mary goes, if you succeed here, I'll help in bless any opportunity moving forward. And Mo Anderson, I'd taken Quantum Leap when I was 25, and I had put a 10-year vision out there to be regional director somewhere in the company by the time I'm 35 years old. And it's amazing. You put it out there, and it ended up happening. I was 34. After I left Tila Austin, the Northern Cal regional director role came open, and moved out to California, ran the region for 6 years, and then and great replacement, Carl Batiste, and moved to regional OP not too long ago. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way. That's fantastic. Now, going back a step, 25 years old, stepping into an ATL role in the most successful office in all of Texas. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Intimidating, to be honest. I mean, you've got some of the biggest producers in the company, in the region, in the office, and my job is to attract talent and to have high level business conversations, and I sold for less than a year. So it was a challenge, and you have to overcome, like, who's this young kid, right? And what I learned was, and how thankful we are to have such a thought leader in Gary and the systems and models, is like, you know what? My success, I just had to try to create this mindset, is in direct proportion to immersing into myself into Keller Williams. Like, we could have $50 million producers, and I could have a high level business conversation if I study and master the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, if I study all the tools and everything, and coach and consult to that. So that was how I had to overcome that 25-year-old kid coming in. And just immerse yourself into education, and then take that knowledge in business level consultations. So it was definitely a challenge.
Oh, I bet. And would you say that adopting and really following the models that are taught within Keller Williams and been taught in Keller Williams for the last couple of decades is what got you from where you were to where you are today?
100%. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, again, how lucky are we, Michael, right? To have that thought leader, not just real estate, of any industry, the best I know of, who gives us the platform and just plug and play. And I kind of had this mindset when I teach, it's hard not to succeed if you can table your entrepreneur spirit and your creativity and be learning based. It's really a challenge not to succeed at some level when you have that mindset.
Well,
when people walk before you, right?
yeah,
Um,
and it's so common that we know that there's a pathway to success, and yet we see a lot of people deviate from that path. So why do you think that is? Why do you think so many choose to go the entrepreneurial route rather than following a model that's proven to take them where they want to go?
I That's a great question. I think a lot of it's ego.
Yeah.
People, I can do it better, or why I can create the model myself. Nobody can do it better than me. They they a lot of people, and I can relate to this. Our natural behavioral style, right, Michael, is to move fast,
Yeah.
move with speed, or that entrepreneur spirit. And with that spirit, it's a challenge to actually slow down and follow that model. So I think there's an ego side of it. I think that mindset, you can do it better, and we move so fast, and that's where mistakes get made. And I think once you make enough mistakes, and the pain financially or whatever that may be gets so significant, sometimes it takes that in your life for you to actually slow down and go to a model. And it did for me when in parts of my career, for
Oh
sure.
yeah. And just a quick personal story. I went to my mentor after about a year being in the business with him and said, okay, I've
Yeah.
done this my way for the last year. It's not working. I had to take that ego and set it aside and say, show me the way, show me the path. I'll just commit to doing it. And it's amazing what happened over the next 12 months. My business tripled. Imagine
Yeah.
that, right?
There you go. There
So
you go.
what was the single greatest lesson you had to learn the hard way through all this, the last 10 years of coming up through the ranks and building a great name for yourself and a great business around you and being in business with amazing people? What's the single hardest lesson you've had to learn?
So that's a great question. 10 years ago, I moved to Washington, D.C. To go launch offices with no pay. Like the win would be go get sweat equity into a brand. And my opportunity was to go out there, didn't know anybody, launch a core group, recruit talent, and get in business with some good people. And the individual who brought me out there, he's a great guy, and he's a strong operator, and we just didn't see eye to eye,
Hmm.
and our chemistry wasn't there. And we struggled. And when you launch a franchise at Keller Williams, speed matters. You get all the stuff together, and you got to go. About halfway through it, we realized we weren't a match. And my takeaway there was we didn't do any of the mutual expectations, how to win with each other, how to lose, all the stuff in Recruit Select at the time, like those models that you're supposed to get that chemistry to have those conversations. So, and then I parlayed it and I hired a team leader that was not a right fit.
Hmm.
And she was a great lady, my fault, 100%. But she was a broker manager at a Weichert, like a traditional real estate company, which, as you know, a team leader in Keller Williams is a different role than a managing type broker.
Sure.
So now we have a slow launch, a core group, and then I hire the wrong team leader. I've got money burning through my pockets because I have a loan out. I'm struggling. And then the blessing was I found Bowman Keaty, who's a great leader in this company, came in, and then we hired Matt Sutter, and we were able to make it a home run launch.
Yeah.
But it was tough. I mean, you're living in Washington, D.C., which is not cheap. But the blessings of this is here's what I learned is career visioning, Recruit Select, all that was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to go master a process and learn the exact same process that Gary Keller did that helped start Keller Williams. So I just made a commitment that following year to go take it 10 times, start teaching it, start training it. And then John Davis, a few years later, helped me become an instructor. But my passion in career visioning and RS is from that time in Virginia, where the amount of intangible loss, financial loss, reputation, all that, by being an entrepreneur, by not committing to a system to create great chemistry. So that was it.
It's tough for people like you, people like me, to slow down to speed up, even though it's a mantra we talk about all the time, slow down to speed up. And yet in the moment it's no, let's just go fast until, like, as you said, you have enough pain to actually cause you to slow down.
But now I look at back that it's still the best, as challenging it was at the time. I feel like I got one of the, like a business degree and a master's in business through that process,
Oh, yeah.
through launching a Keller Williams franchise, through making terrible mistakes and bad hires. And, and I'll never forget when John Davis goes, Tony, I want you to teach career visioning or recruit select at the time as a national instructor. And I go, John, why'd you tap me on the shoulder? He goes, I've just watched you make some of the worst hires in the history of Keller Williams. I go, well, thank you, John. But then he says, he's good. When you fail, but when you make bad decisions or you fail, what happens? Well, you learn. And so he thought I could be able to create that experience in the classroom setting of hey, here's what not to do. Here's why I'm passionate about teaching it, right?
Yeah. And it's often said that a wise person learns from their own mistakes. A brilliant person learns from the mistakes of others. So you can share that with other people and allow them to skip those steps, or at least go through them faster. Because I don't think we ever skip them. We just can move through faster. You're impacting someone's life by accelerating their ability to grow. And that's hugely important for people like you. I know that. So with that said, how are you preparing yourself, and how are you preparing the people that you lead and that you're in business and in this world with to take on this next chapter? Because right now we're all in unknown territory.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you preparing yourself and those around you to take on what we're in and what's coming next?
Yeah. So I think there's two things. One is it's just all technology, Mike. I mean, as you know, we're moving into this new world. We got COVID. I mean, we don't have a playbook for what's going on. All the national unrest, COVID, market shifting, changing. In terms of leadership, in terms of market center leadership and agents, and Gary talks about this and I love this quote. He says, technology is not going to replace the real estate agent, but the real estate agent who does not embrace technology will be extinct. Mm-hmm. And I think you agree with that, and you're building 100%. Your great expansion in Northern Cal and everything you're doing there, and the people you're attracting is 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. If you had some technology in your business or your networking or your marketing, you had the advantage. Now, if you don't have it, you're in massive trouble.
Yep.
So everything we're doing in terms of preparing is again, we're just following Gary and Josh's lead. We're implementing, we're becoming, and then the other thing is how can we be disruptive? I love the focusing question is what business or company would come in today and make you extinct? Mm. And then Gary says, become that company.
Ooh.
Like, I love that. So like from agent perspective, like who would you fear? What type of agent would come in that would disrupt you on your listing presentation? Well, then become that, implement that, become that. So in terms of a regional level in Northern Cal and the regional team is in our conversations with Gary is we are from systems and models and thinking and thought processes. I mean, Gary's blowing up Keller Williams again, and it's awesome. And we're always asking that question of what can we do? How can we be disruptive? How can we think differently? How can we be that company that we're afraid of that would make us extinct? It's a process. So like our conversations on the national level right now is all about that. And it's really technology, technology is on the forefront of that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
2 final questions for you, Tony. Number one, how do you keep yourself going on those tough days? We all have them. We all experience them. We all like to put on a brave face and a big smile. At the same time, we all have them. So how do you keep yourself going? How do you get yourself motivated to move in the right direction when it'd be easier not to?
So a couple of years ago, I love that question. It's a great question. Is I just literally, if I'm in a funk or I'm in a challenge or there's some you're just not in that zone, I'll pick up the phone or I'll come into the nearest Keller Williams office and say, hey, do you have 30 minutes? I want to get to know you. And I'll literally do a 30-minute, 5-year motivational exercise with somebody. Or say, hey, have you ever taken the KPA? Do you mind if I send you the KPA and can I verify this tomorrow via Zoom or meet you in the market center or whatever? Or get somebody's life story. And what I find is when I use some of those models from career visioning, whether it's a KPA, life story, whatever, and when they're done, they go, 1, nobody's ever done this with me. 2, you help them self-discover who they are. What I find is I get more energy out of that than most of the time than the individual on the other side does, because you impact. So for me, it's hey, get out of this funk. Let's go pour into somebody. Let's go help somebody, whatever that may be, and using one of those conversation models, and that gets me back on track. And that's I just kind of move into how can I help somebody, and then I go, okay, I'm good. I snap out of it.
Love that, because it's and not in a negative way whatsoever. It's totally positive. It's a self-serving thing, and at the same time, it's selfless as well, because you're helping somebody else at a high level and a deep level, and it helps you too. That is the best. I mean, that's why win-win is part of the Y4C2Ts, right?
Yeah,
they're on the wall. So, love that. Last question for you, Tony.
Yeah.
What piece of advice, or what major takeaway would you have people that are watching and listening to this right now take with them into the rest of their day, or the rest of their week, or the rest of their year?
Okay, so 10 years ago, Gary Keller flew down some leadership and agents, and it was like a full day mastermind. There's probably 30 of us in the room. And he drew a model, shocking, that stuck with me, that I always kind of just think about, and when I teach and train, or in my own self, is how, and he drew a big circle on the whiteboard with a small dot in the middle. That was the model. And he goes, what's that circle? He asked us. And we're like, I don't know, Gary. And he goes, that's your life. And he goes, in order to have the biggest business or the biggest life possible, and he drew that dot right in the middle of it, your focus has to be so small. It has to be so minute. And we were like, what does that mean? And he expanded on it. And he says, the highest achievers in life, the highest achievers in business, if you want to maximize your freedom and income in the real estate world, he goes, you need to have that focus by 12 or 1 o'clock every single day. You're done. You're exhausted. I mean, you're absolutely spent. Meaning, you do the right activities in the morning, and you're all in with zero distractions. And if you can have that mindset, the rest of it, and of course, you're not done with the day. You're gonna have other stuff, right? Sure. But you could be. Your business will survive. So my advice is understand what your 20% is. Really get clear on that. Match it to your behavior. If you haven't taken the assessment, get what your behavior is and how does that relate to your strengths and your 20%. And wake up every single day, and by 12 or 1 o'clock, and try to be spent and be done. So that I've taken that. Now, do I do it every day? Of course not. But I try to. Every single day I go, if I'm not exhausted by 12 or 1 o'clock, I didn't maximize that time to have the biggest life possible. So for me, it's 10,000 steps as soon as you can. A lot of times I'm making calls or doing that. You do the family stuff, the spiritual stuff, and then 6 or 7 in the morning, I'm walking or running or listening to stuff and making calls. And then it's lead gen, and I'm making a list every night before, and I go, okay, everything I need to do tomorrow, then what has to happen by 1 o'clock? And I just have that mindset.
Love that last part you said, to the night before. And a lot of people say a great day starts the night before. And Brian Tracy talks about the 10-90 rule. 10% of planning up front will remove 90% of the waste, because you've got a purpose, you've got a plan. So I love that. Any final thoughts that you want to bring to the table? I really appreciate your time here today.
Yeah, man. I the last piece is from an agent perspective, is the agent that's going to win at the highest level post-COVID is in direct proportion to their database more than ever. How big your database is, you've got to build it as fast as you can, get it into command, whatever you're using, but eventually start rolling it into our platform if you're with Keller Williams. And I believe that statement, what does Gary say? Your business is your database. You can times 10 that now moving forward. Right now, NAR is seeing more people getting into real estate, but that other shoe is going to drop.
Yeah.
I mean, people are flooding in the industry because of COVID. We're seeing a lot of people, but on the backside of this COVID and election, that shoe's going to drop. And the database combined with technology and communication is going to win the game. So build it big and build it fast.
Build it big, build it fast, communicate with it consistently, reap the rewards by helping other people. I love it.
Fundamentals. It's the fundamentals, right?
Always is. That's the beauty of things. It can always go back to the fundamentals. So Tony, appreciate you, man. Thank you for all your support and everything that we're doing as a team and in Keller Williams in general. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for your time.
And Michael, thanks for you and your leadership and your team, United Home Group, and your influence in Northern California and Hawaii, and the expansion and your partners. And you, I appreciate you. You always find great talent, and you're continuing to build. And thank you so much for all you're doing.
It's my pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to run with you and run alongside you. So have a great day, man. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. If you have any questions, reach out to Tony or myself directly. We'd be happy to answer, happy to help. Have a good one.
Thanks, Michael. See ya.